Hello, this is Matthew Marco, Mapmaking.com. Welcome back to Mapmaking. We're going to play some Binding of Isaac again today. Let's see. I don't have Magdalene. Don't have Cain. We're going to get Cain today, I think. We're going to aim for that anyway. I'm going to continue to talk about stuff, as I am wont to do. Hopefully that is to your liking. These aren't meant to be, like, regular, but we'll see how it goes. People seem to enjoy the first one. Hopefully my audio problems are fixed. I had like a noise gate issue. Lately I've been playing a lot of games on my backlog, which is kind of what I want to talk about. Okay, that lets me jump, which I actually don't like because I still can't go over rocks with the jump, so it's not like as good as... Oh, I can. I thought I couldn't. Okay. It's also really unpredictable. But anyway, I've been tearing through my backlog of games, and I got it in my head that I wanted to clear out my Steam library, which means going through and hiding things that I've beaten, or that I'm not going to play, which meant, like, not going to play doesn't mean that, like, realistically, I'm not going to play all the games on my Steam library, but maybe, so I'm going to keep most of them, but, like, anything that was tower defense that I got in, like, a bundle can go away, because I don't like tower defense games, and I wouldn't ever choose to play those. But it also meant going through and making sure that, like, really old games ran well, and that's kind of the thing I want to talk about today, because the state of Steam as, like, a platform where you can get games is really in a weird place. They have a huge library, and a lot of it is old content, old games. Let's not use the word content, the C word forbidden here on normalmapping.com. And its affiliated YouTube channel. Like, I have all the Sherlock Holmes games, because of course I do. I bought them in a bundle, like a person does. But what that meant is that I have all these old games that, like, don't really have great support. Those games are from the early aughts, and they don't run very well. And on my old computer, they didn't run it at all, but on this computer, I got the first Sherlock Holmes game working just fine, and then I got like an hour into it, and then it kept crashing, and I couldn't actually proceed past the level change into the third level, because the third level would always crash the game. There's nothing I could do, so game over. I looked online, there wasn't really like a fix for it, because that game is old, and nobody cares about weird European Sherlock Holmes games. I think they're French. I don't actually know. What else? I went through my list, and some games were just delisted, and so the Steam forum was like, well, this game, who knows how you can get it to run, and the publisher doesn't exist or isn't going to support it. A lot of those were like indie bundle games where the people who made it just went away, and then they stopped selling it, and now it doesn't exist anymore. And that's weird, because it's fine to have, like, abandonware on the internet. Like, the internet's founded on that. But Steam, I feel like, is a marketplace... Excuse me. I've got a beer here. Gonna take a drink. Steam as a marketplace builds itself, to me, on having, like, a certain sort of accountability to it, where the games will always be available for download, and... Certainly that's part of the PC conversation. People talk about the PC as, oh, your consoles aren't backwards compatible, well, you should have gotten them on PC because I can play games forever. And that's not true. There was a bunch of games on there that I checked out that were, like, old... I don't think they were, like, emulated... Well, they probably were emulated, but they're really old, like, RTSs, and the developer... On every one of these games, I don't remember what the series was because I hid them all, but the developer had a post that was like, these games won't run on Windows 10. And we're not going to fix that, and you could, like, and you can create, like, a virtual machine to make it run, but that's on you. And that's kind of ridiculous to me, because that's not the promise that Steam gave us, so that we could just have our games and play them. And that's not the promise of the people who, like, really advocate for Steam. And so, yeah, you're with these games that, like, suddenly won't run on hardware, and Steam doesn't really surface that themselves. Like, the developer has a post after the, like, pitch for the game that's like, note on Windows 10 users, hey, guess what, this game's never gonna run. But you could easily buy that game and miss it. And they, in their post, they're like, we're sorry, we don't really have the resources for this. If you have played less than an hour or whatever, 2 or whatever the thing is, you can get a Steam refund. And I'm not going to do that because I bought those games in a bundle, and those people are clearly worse off than I am if they can't, like, fix the thing that is ostensibly, hopefully, part of their livelihood. I mean, back catalog stuff isn't what it, you know, it's not going to set the world on fire, but, it just feels really weird to me. And I knew that Steam is not, like, the trustworthy bastion of the marketplace that, like, PC gamers want it to be, or advocate it as, but it's really obvious that the old game bubble, in a lot of instances, kind of burst on PC, and as we have, like, a real big architecture change going from, like, Windows 7, which had a lot of compatibility stuff, because people were still on XP and everything, to Windows 10, which, you know, like, they're phasing out old DirectX stuff, I assume, and thus the games just don't run. Like, we're gonna lose whole generations of PC games, probably. And that's naturally part of it, but it's interesting in that the people who so very much, like, talk about the conversation around PC games, this guy eat hearts? I want the one that eats hearts, not the one that gives me hearts. I think this is the one that gives me... Oh, this just shoots. That's fine. But the conversation on the PC as a platform was predicated on that stuff, and emulation will always exist, but the whole point was that you could get this stuff and it would be made available. At this point, like, consoles are becoming more and more like the PC, but the inverse is also true in that the PC becomes more and more like consoles at the same time. And the lies that PC gamers have told themselves about backwards compatibility, like, effortlessly without a whole bunch of bending over backwards, just don't remain true. Like, yes, I can play everything because I have a very expensive computer that can emulate whatever I need. But that's not the same thing as Steam is, like, a thriving community where the work gets done to make sure that the games run. And, like, I'm really glad a service like GOG exists, but GOG is not the end-all be-all. Like, they have a very select amount of games that they have, and they're by publishers who are still solvent, and that's a big part of it. And they're also they normally pick games that are, like, part of someone's, like, PC canon, so a lot of things just don't exist anymore. Like, you look at the work that Anthropy has done to digitize old CD-ROM and floppy games like Kid Pix and stuff. And that work, like, she tries to find funding basically to just host the files and scan the books, and runs, like, small crowdfunding campaigns, and they only, like, half the time make it, and they're asking for, like, oh, I need, like, $110 to justify, like, the 3 days of work this will take to get this all done. And if that can't get done for games that are, like, at least fondly remembered upon, like, the nostalgic 90s set of, like, we were way into the, like, Kid Pix is something talking about Idle Thumbs. Like, it's a thing people know about. It was Idle Thumbs or the Beastcast, I don't remember. One of those. I think it was Idle Thumbs. Sorry if I'm wrong. But if that stuff can't even exist, then where are we at as, like, a culture who cares about preservation? And the answer is nowhere. Like, we're in fucking shithole, and we've always been in the shithole. People just, my light's on, so I can't really see the really dark ones. I need to remember to turn my light off before I was also drawing today, so I have my monitor on its art settings, which are not as good as the games. Like, they're actually better than the game settings, but they're way darker. Because for games, for some reason, I just need the brightness all the way up, because I'm old. Yeah, so, like, it's really sad to see that this is just the way things are now, and I knew that that's the way things were, but seeing it, like, baldly put out like that is unfortunate, because emulation shouldn't be the only answer. Like, services should go to the work, but they only go to the work in, like, the most obvious ways. And this problem exists in film. People are like, film doesn't have this preservation problem, but it really does. Most film from the first 30 years of film just doesn't exist anymore. Like, it's gone. We got rid of it. It doesn't exist. Because it got destroyed, or it was lost, or it degraded. digital film, which now like 99.9% of films are shot digitally, no one really knows how to reasonably preserve it, because you have to keep it on hard drives and stuff, and the cost of upkeeping hard drives is way higher than the cost of upkeeping like film stored in canisters. And so we have a world in which it's less economical than ever to preserve film, even though it's cheaper to make it. And that creates this world in which, like, just rapidly churn through content that is inherently disposable. It's bad for an art form to be that way, to think that way, for sure. Which is really unfortunate. So I could jump that 1. Why can't I jump that 2? If I could jump this 2, I'd be a long way to getting Kane. Oh man, awesome. I think I need running start. Yeah, I want that cane. I want that cane. Oh, that cane of mine. So, yeah, in a world in which we don't, in all of our media is inherently disposable, no one's going to put the effort for preservation, because why do they have to? That means I wasted this bomb over here, but that's alright. And the answer, of course, is that pirates will, you know, do the work that corporations won't. But having to go outside of the people who like make the art and have the support systems to make sure that the art is preserved is like that is a stopgap measure. That is a band-aid on a festering wound of like a medium, be it film or be it games. Like, yeah, I can play all of the old games I want for free if I go through the effort, and the like hundreds or thousands of people hours of people who work to make emulators and dump ROMs and stuff. But that's work that shouldn't have to be done by the fans of a thing. And it also still has all the trappings of, hey, guess what? The most popular systems to emulate are like Nintendo systems, because those are the ones people have nostalgia for, and like, you can get Scum games working really well, but you know, you're out of luck if you want like a really good Dreamcast emulator. And there's like extra reasons for that, in that the Dreamcast can literally just run burn CDs, so you don't need to have an emulator. You just buy a Dreamcast at like $20, but you know what I'm saying. Like, me and my partner and Abnormal Mapping Co.'s Destiny Serum are watching Star Wars. She doesn't really remember them, and I'm trying to bone up for the release of the new Star Wars. And what's this? The Sun. Let's do this one. And I wanted to watch the despecialized editions, which are the actual versions of that movie that have become the cultural phenomenon, even though you haven't been able to buy those for, at this point, almost 20 years. Because when the special editions came out, they basically obliterated all of the original versions, and every HD version and every DVD release has basically been the special editions. I think they released, when they did the DVD sets, or the Blu-ray sets, they did a original edition Star Wars, but it was like ripped from a Laserdisc, and it was SD, and it was awful, supposedly. So fans have gone and made like incredibly complicated re-edits to make the movies what they were in 77 and 80 and 83. And I'd never seen those movies because I watched them when the special editions came out on VHS in the 90s. And it's so strange to recognize that the thing that like is a billion-dollar industry that the last, 40 years of culture is based on, a piece of media that almost literally anyone who cares about movies would be able to know, like, tell you something about, even if they're not like into it, doesn't exist anymore. Like, George Lucas is like, no, those movies don't, like, we used the masters or whatever to make the version that you see, so the old version doesn't exist anymore. And I don't actually believe that. I assume they're going to release those at some point. Oh, I'm dead. Damn. We're going to do another run. I don't believe that, and I very much believe that they're going to release those at some point and charge a high premium for them. But we live in a world in which movies that form the backbone of modern culture in the last half century don't exist anymore. How wild is that just to comprehend? Like, You can't buy those, they don't exist. And we're not talking about something obscure, we're not talking about like ephemera that nobody remembers, we're talking about goddamn Star Wars. And games have this problem like 1,000 times over. Like Rare Replay just came out on Xbox One, and Rare Replay is a really cool thing, but it has all the Rare games, except the Rare games that they made like with Nintendo's first party, or like second party input. So you're not going to get Donkey Kong 64, you're not going to get the Donkey Kong Countries, you're not going to get Star Fox 64, you're not going to get Diddy Kong Racing, and Nintendo isn't exactly putting all of those games out. Like you can get the Donkey Kong Countries and Donkey Kong 64. GoldenEye also isn't there because of its license, but you can't get GoldenEye. GoldenEye will never be emulated by anything because the rights are so crazy for that, I'm sure. But you don't get Diddy Kong Racing. Diddy Kong Racing is one of the best 64 games. It does interesting things that racing games still haven't really tried to do. Burnout Paradise has some of the things that Diddy Kong Racing was trying to do, but you know, like the big open world, like missions coming off of that world and like finding secrets within a space that is very static. Like that stuff didn't happen again for 2 generations, but Diddy Kong Racing was at least attempting that. That's an important video game. You can't buy it. Can't find it at all. You could emulate it, I'm sure. I don't actually know the state of 64 emulation because I don't really do much of it, but the game ostensibly doesn't exist for people who want to play it in 2015. And so we have whole subsections of video game history that are just vanishing, and it's not obscurities. It's games that people can remember in their lifetime playing. Games that are reasonably important just stop existing. I mean, PT is like the poster child example at this point. But PT is not the only one, and it would be foolish to pretend that PT is the only one. Look at Square's... Sorry, I just have a tickle in my throat. Not ready to talk a bunch today, apparently. Look at Square's output on PSP. Kingdom Hearts and Crisis Core. These are, like, Kingdom Hearts is presumably really important to Kingdom Hearts 3. I wouldn't know, but because I haven't played it. But it's not on PSN, you can't buy it. Sorry, trying to focus on killing these guys. Crisis Core is probably going to form the basis of the stuff that's done in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's the first game by the director who went on to make Final Fantasy Type 0 and is making Final Fantasy 15. Having that game as part of your knowledge would inform your ability to like understand the direction that he's going with kind of action RPGs in the Final Fantasy milieu, but you can't get that game on PSN, so it doesn't really exist. PSPs are hard to come by. The game itself isn't exorbitantly expensive now, but where is it going to be in 20 years, and when we don't have services that can provide it? The Vita's going to go away. I'm sure, if not soon, then eventually. Probably sooner than that, though. And what happens to PSP emulation at that point? What happens to Persona the Golden when Sony stops making Vitas and you can't access those games? It's going to happen to Gravity Rush. In Gravity Rush's instance, they're going to give you an HD version on your PS4 that you can pay for the privilege of replaying. And I will, because I like that game. But these are not good solutions to having content exist over time. And I don't know what the solution is outside of solve for capitalism. If companies were more concerned about the artistic merit of their works and their preservation more than making money, we would probably have these things taken care of. Alas, we do not, and so we don't. And, like, yeah, I don't know. It's a pressing thing to talk about. So I played some Sherlock Holmes. It's basically, let's circle this back around. I played some Sherlock Holmes, and Sherlock Holmes is okay. It's interesting given that I know of that game through its social, social media context as like the thing Justin McElroy joked about, but like a really interesting kind of adventure game with like exploration elements. And the first game is just, or like the creepy Watson video that everybody's seen. The first game is literally just walk around and collect stuff and interact with a thing. Like it is a point-and-click game in a first-person mode, like a puzzle adventure game more than like a talkie adventure game, and that's interesting. But it's such a different thing than what it became. Played through a bunch of stuff. I don't really know what to talk about there, but I had this urge to clear out my Steam library because I realized I haven't been paying attention to PC games because I got to the point where I was paralyzed by the indecision of how many PC games I had yet to play. And that's a real problem. And I'm in this period now where I'm done with the Paper Mario work, and we're going to podcast about that next week. And until then, I'm kind of free and clear. I played Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, which I highly recommend people play, but I don't have much to say about it other than that. But I've just been playing like little things and trying to catch up and clear out my backlog. And, Etrian Odyssey's done, and I said I wasn't going to write about it, but I wrote about it. That'll go up in 2 weeks because it's part of a thing that we're doing. We don't want to talk too much about that. But after that RPG, like normally when I come off of a big game like that, I'm just ready to kill a bunch of small games, and that's what I've been doing. And it's been really fun. But I'm at the point now where I don't know what's next. I do know what's next, actually. I have The Sims 3 downloading as I record this. We're going to Game Club The Sims 3 at some point, and that's when I'm going to devote a bunch of time to it. But I kind of wanted... I've never played The Sims before. I kind of wanted to have some time to, like, play it and fiddle with it and then, like, forget about it and come back to it and fiddle with it some more over months and months instead of just diving in head first for a month really deep. I don't think that would result in like really good podcasting because that's not how anyone plays The Sims. I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that like a 1 month really considered effort is a good way to experience The Sims as a cultural force. You ask why not Sims 4? Well, the answer is Destiny's computer wouldn't run Sims 4, and I think Destiny had a lot of affection for Sims 3. It's cheaper. By all accounts, Sims 4 is even more aggressively microtransaction and like expecting you to pay for things that were in older games than 3 was, and 3 was already pretty bad, I'm pretty sure, because the game tried to upsell me on like 15 expansions when I got it. So I'm gonna play some Sims 3. I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, I've never played The Sims. I've played The Herbs. In the dark days of the DS launch window, I bought DS copy of The Herbs, and I played that, and that was fun. You know, like, you can joke about The Herbs, and it was basically, like, what if we made The Sims, like, a goal-based kind of, like, adventure game's kind of a broad term to apply to it, but it was like talk to these people and go through this plot and like hit these goals that are like very Sims goals, but like in order to advance a very focused narrative, and it was weird that way. Yeah, it was basically using Sims mechanics to tell an adventure game plot, which is a very cool idea, I think, but ultimately, like, clearly just a weird kind of busted game. That probably, if you were really into Sims, didn't offer you what you actually came there for. But I had no prior context other than I know what The Sims is, clearly, but never played it. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I played all of the Amnesia Fortnite prototypes because I cared about that stuff. Actually, the only ones I didn't play were the ones that were turned into real games. I haven't played Deep Space, or Space Base DF9 yet. I own it. I haven't played Hack and Slash. I own that too. I don't know what else is there. But those prototypes are really interesting. Some of them way better than others, clearly. Maybe I'll devote that to a different video. Maybe I'll never talk about it again. But if you have access to those, I don't think you can buy them. You had to like back the... Basically, like, you paid like $10 and you got all the prototypes and you got to vote on which ones would become real games, I think is how it worked. So yeah, those were cool, and Steam like hosted them. That's why they're on Steam. Some of those really cool. I thought Steed was really interesting. It's a game in which you play as a horse, and you have like a rider who casts magic from a book, and you can like kick goblins with your horse, and just you kind of riding around a field in the demo, like, but the horse is really well animated, it's really pretty, and that carries the day a lot for me in terms of games like that. Like, I want a really cool horse game. Like, Legend of Zelda and Shadow of the Colossus can't be the only ones, right? Right? I would hope. In part because I don't really like Shadow of the Colossus that much. And in Link, you're not playing as the horse, and the horse play is not, like, essential. I hope in Wii U they up the horse play. I want peak horse play in my Zelda games, please. Let's try that. Bad trip. Man, we're burning through hearts, aren't we? Ugh, Mega Man is hard. Oh, we have Poison Tears. That should help. Don't have any items. I could really use an item. He hasn't been throwing fire, though. So, oh, there we go. But those prototypes cleared out a lot of space. I'm playing Child of Eden, which is not a PC game, but I talk about it because I'm playing it. I really like Tetsuya Mizuguchi. He produced Space Channel 5 and Rez and Lumines and Meteos. I love Meteos. I love Space Channel 5. I think Rez is one of the greatest games ever made. This is not those games, unfortunately. But so far, I played the first level. I enjoy it well enough. It is clearly Rez-inspired. It has too many mechanics. It was like a motion control game, and that explains a lot of that, I feel like. But, yeah, you know, it's enjoyable enough. It's really short, so I'll finish that and have that. Oh, damn. Can't get back there. And I don't know what's next. Onward and upward, I guess. I don't actually know what that means in the context of me playing video games, but make up what you want. Oh, I didn't get the item here. What am I doing? Book of Shadows. Yeah, I'll take that. That's great. This has been a really lousy Isaac play tonight. My apologies, but I kind of just wanted to talk about the Steam thing that's been on my mind, and it's totally the thing you could write an article about, and it'd probably even be a good article, but you know how I feel about writing about video games. We're gonna keep going here, but realistically, all the things I've had to say are done, and if you're still listening, then I don't know. Let's talk about Binding of Isaac, I guess. Binding of Isaac is a real dick all the time. And if you don't know that going in, it can be really disheartening. Jackson, watching the first video, he's like, I'm amazed that you were like, my Isaac play is really mediocre, and then you proceed to destroy the game. But realistically, I'm either going to die on, like, the second floor, or I'm going to get past Mom, at least. If I don't get past Mom, what the hell am I even doing? I've been playing this game enough. Like, I'm probably, like, a good 200 hours into Binding of Isaac. If I can't get to Mom most times, then what am I doing with my life? Like, dying on, like, the 5th floor, or whatever, is not reasonable. Like, that's a bad run. That is me doing something stupid. Like, right now, I'm just taking tons of damage because these skeletons suck, and I'm talking and not paying attention like I should. What I actually want to do is play Eternity 2, but I can't bring myself to do it because I can't commit another 30 hours to a video game, which is why I'm going to do everything else instead. Also, I know in my heart that if I play Eternity 2, I'm going to burn out really hard on it because it's too soon. That doesn't change me wanting to play with it or play it. I kind of want to get the backlog cleared up before a huge rush of games come out. Like, Mario Maker comes out in like 4 weeks, and I'm very excited for Mario Maker, but holy shit, that's really soon. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Speed up, that's great. I'm gonna run right into these spikes at higher speed than I would have normally. So dead. There's no way I'm coming back from this, is there? That's okay. This video's done. I'm ready to, like, go do something else. Oh, I walked on the blood. Okay. Mario Maker comes out soon. Look forward to that, I guess. Says not Nintendo employee Matthew Marco. Please check out abnormalmapping.com. Check me out on Twitter at LitRock. Let me know what you think of this. Lament games with me because they're in a weird place and they always have been and they probably always will be. It'd be cool if we could play old games easily, but we can't. So we live in a sad world where we just have to buy new games. We don't have to buy new games. That's why I'm trying to play old ones. I hope you enjoyed Isaac. I'm sorry the play was so bad, but hopefully the conversation was good. Have a good Sunday night, or whenever you listen to this, and see you next time. Bye!